Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is the 2nd February 2025. In this video, I am going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. And also it is the weekend. I will be generating few additional weekly reports related to newly created weekly demand and supply zones, the tested zones, and zone confluence based filtering the stocks we will do on weekly time frame. And apart from that, we will generate stocks near demand and supply zones for different time frames, and price closed inside the demand and supply zones for the higher time frames from yearly until daily time frame. We will also identify daily and 75 minutes high liquidity zones. We will also identify bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly income trade, weekly income trade, and daily income trade. And finally, we will generate stop buffers based on daily ATR. Even before that, all of you please understand we are providing complete free training on supply demand zone price action. Some of you might be knowing the cost of the training is over 8,000 US dollars, but we are providing complete free training as part of our NeoStock Software promotional activities point of view. You can access all the training lessons at our NeoStock YouTube channel. At our channel homepage, you please find the tab posts. Some of you might be seeing the tab community, so click on the tab. You get access to this free training course. Excuse me. And this post is having a YouTube playlist link that will take you to all the training lessons. You just click on the link. Now we are into supply demand zone price action course YouTube playlist. I kept all the training lessons in this video. You need to start your training from lesson 1.1 that is placed at the bottom of this page. I am scrolling the list down, and here starting from lesson 1.1 all the training lessons are placed in an order. So please go through all these lessons one by one. But learn all these concepts according to the training instructions I mentioned at our Telegram channel. The training instructions are available in the pinned messages of our Telegram channel. Our channel link, Telegram channel link, I provided in this video description. Go to the video description, find the link and join at our Telegram channel. And in the Telegram channel at the top of the window you may find pinned messages. Click on the pinned messages and you will see all the training instructions, and strictly learn all the training lessons according to the instructions I provided. Then you will become a very good independent trader. You will be in a position to identify your own trades on your own in a perfect way after completing the entire training course. Okay, now let's get into the report generation. Okay, first I'm going to generate stocks closed inside the yearly demand and supply zones. So yearly time frame, price closed inside the yearly demand zone. We got 3 stocks. I'm giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. So I request you pause the video, study the report, and after that you can proceed with the next reports. In case if you doesn't understand how to study the report, I request you complete our training lesson 21.1. That is part 1 of lesson 21. In that video I have explained each and every column, their values, abbreviations in detail. Okay, next for yearly time frame, price closed inside the yearly supply zone, we don't have any stocks. Next time frame is half yearly, stocks near half yearly demand zone, we got 1 stock. Next half yearly time frame, price closed inside the half yearly supply zone, we don't have any stocks. Next half yearly time frame, price closed inside the half yearly demand zone, we got 5 stocks. All these are all half yearly all-time high demand zones. Next, half yearly time frame, price closed inside the half yearly supply zone. We got two stocks. Look into HDFC Life, it is all-time low supply zone. It doesn't have a demand zone. Okay, next time frame is quarterly. Stocks near quarterly demand zone. We got two stocks. Next, quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly supply zone. We got three stocks. Next, quarterly time frame. Price closed inside the quarterly demand zone. We got 28 stocks. First 23 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down, further down. So total 28 stocks are filtered. We can further filter this list by setting the high probability parameter, quarterly EMA confluence on the quarterly demand zone. Let's filter. In the EMA confluence, at quarterly time frame, I am setting the filter, quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. And you know, EMA confluence makes sense only in the trending market, not in the sideways. So that's why in the trend at quarterly time frame, I am selecting only up or down. That is indicates trending market. See, now the list is come down to 16 stocks. All these 16 stocks, quarterly demand zones are having quarterly EMA confluence. Of course, the current price is closed inside the quarterly demand zone, as we already set the filter. Okay, next, quarterly time frame. Price closed inside the quarterly supply zone. We got 7 stocks. Out of these 7, how many quarterly supply zones are having quarterly EMA confluence? Let us filter. In the EMA confluence, quarterly time frame, I am setting the filter quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence. And trend on the quarterly time frame should be either up or down. Now from 7, the list is come down to 4 stocks. So these 4 quarterly supply zones are having quarterly EMA confluence. Of course, current price is closed inside the quarterly supply zones. Okay, this is about quarterly time frame. So the next time frame is monthly. Stocks near monthly demand zone. Four stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame. Stocks near monthly supply zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly demand zone. We got 40 stocks. First 18 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 40. We can further filter excuse me, by setting demand zones, monthly demand zones having monthly EMA confluence. So in monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence. So when you set EMA confluence, the trend should not be sideways on monthly time frame. It can be up or down. Now the list is come down to 18 stocks from 40. So that means all these 18 monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA confluence. Of course, current price closed inside the monthly demand zone. That is what the filter we set. Okay, the next report, monthly time frame, price closed inside the monthly supply zone. We got 11 stocks. Out of these 11, how many are having ITF supply zone Confluence? Sorry, EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence monthly time frame, I am setting the filter. Monthly supply zones are having monthly EMA Confluence, and trend on the monthly time frame should be either up or down with these filters. Now the list is come down to 6. All 6 monthly supply zones are having monthly EMA Confluence. And this is also end of the month. Actually, only one problem is month is started already because of the special trading session yesterday, that is on Saturday, 1st February. Some of the monthly zones, additional monthly zones, let me generate. If any ongoing candle is displayed in the leg out, ignore that stock. Ongoing means February. Mostly won't get because only one day trade is completed. I don't think just one day, because of one day trade monthly candle we get. But in case any extraordinary thing happens, probably you may feel like a candle, monthly candle in one day itself. Okay, what I am going to filter, finding the stocks newly created monthly demand and supply zones. So monthly time frame, let's find newly created monthly demand zones. So no monthly newly created monthly demand zones. Okay, fine. For monthly time frame, newly created monthly supply zones. No, we don't have any during this month. Any tested monthly demand zones, you may get a big list. Let's verify. Monthly time frame. How many monthly demand zones tested? One monthly demand zone is tested. Similarly, we will look into tested monthly supply zones. One is tested supply zone. Okay. Now let's look into the next time frame, weekly. Okay, stocks near weekly demand zone. We got 8 stocks. Next, weekly time frame, stocks near weekly supply zone. We got 18 stocks, first 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. Next, weekly time frame, price closed inside the weekly demand zone. We got 64 stocks. For first 15 stocks, I am scrolling the list down. So total 64 stocks. Out of these 64, how many are having a monthly demand zone, weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence? Let's filter with the help of EMA Confluence filter. So at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter. Weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. And the trend at weekly time frame, I am setting up or down. So with these filters, now the list is come down to only 9 stocks. So these 9 weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. Okay, this is about price closed inside the weekly demand zone. Next, weekly time frame, Price closed inside the weekly supply zone. We got 31 stocks. And the first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 31 stocks are filtered. Price closed inside weekly supply zone. We can further filter based on weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence parameter at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. And the trend on the weekly should be either up or down. With these filters, we got 13 stocks. All these 13 weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA confluence. So this is about price closed inside the weekly supply zone. Let us generate few additional weekly reports because it is end of the week. You may get some interesting results related to tested zones, newly created zones, and zones based on the zone confluence. Okay. Weekly time frame. Let us find the tested demand zones, weekly demand zones during this week. So many weekly demand zones are tested. 44 stocks are filtered. First 16 stocks on the list. For the reference purpose, I am scrolling the list down. So 44. Now you know what demand zones are tested during this week. Similarly, let us look for weekly time frame, tested weekly supply zones. 24 supply zones, weekly supply zones are tested during this week. So first 15 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 24 stocks are filtered. So these 24 weekly supply zones are tested during this week. Okay, next let us find newly created weekly demand and supply zones. So weekly time frame, let us find the newly created weekly demand zones. Stocks having newly created weekly demand zones. So 33 stocks are having newly created weekly demand zones. That indicates a good strength for the increasing the demand. That is what you have to observe. The sectors that are having is auto sector and FMCG. Okay, I am scrolling the list. See, these stocks are having newly created weekly demand zones. Some of these demand zones you are seeing on the list may not be newly created zone, but stocks are having. Now you may ask why we are not displaying for some stocks. Because maybe that is a LOTL zone. It might be inside already existing demand zone. Our software always lists the stock that is having nearest to the current closing price. That way you might be missing sometimes. See, majority of the stocks are newly created zones. But where LOTL zones are created inside already existing zones, probably they might be hiding inside the existing, whatever you are seeing, in that zone, those newly created zones will be there. That is how you have to understand. See, the leg out candle, it is a closely candle. This is the closing candle. This is the demand zone leg out. The week starting is, this week starting 27. So this is showing 3-6-24. That means inside this demand zone, LOTL zone is created. That is how you have to understand. If the current leg out is not 27 January 2025, in this example, it is not. That means inside this demand zone, a newly created weekly demand zone is available. Why I am not displaying? Because our software is designed in such a way, always it displays the demand and supply zones nearest to the current price. for a user's viewpoint of view. Okay, first 16 stocks, I am scrolling the list down. So total 33 stocks are filtered. Similarly, for weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zones. So total 16 stocks. So these 16 stocks are having newly created weekly supply zones. The open of the week is the 27 January 2025. Always remember, any candle, the open price will be displayed. Okay, I am scrolling the list down. Okay, next let us identify the stocks that are having zone confluence, LTF, ITF, HTF. Let us assume LTF is weekly. So weekly should be inside monthly, both together inside quarterly. Such kind of stocks let us filter. So weekly time frame, in the zone confluence, demand zone confluence, I am selecting 3 filters. First filter is weekly demand zone confluence with monthly demand zone, weekly demand zone confluence with quarterly demand zone, and also monthly demand zone confluence with quarterly demand zone. With all the 3 filters, that is LTF, ITF, HTF, demand zone confluence. So we got 37 stocks. Even NIFTY, look into NIFTY, even BANKNIFTY. Both these are demand zones, weekly demand zones are inside the monthly demand zone. Again, both together inside the quarterly demand zone. Such kind of zones are very powerful zones. Of course, you may find inside these weekly and demand zones, you may find a daily demand zone. Even NIFTY next 50 is also the same. All 3 are there in the F&O list. I am scrolling the list down for your further reference. So total 37 stocks are filtered. Can we filter further? If you can ask the question, yes, we can filter based on, because all are part of the quarterly demand zone, weekly and monthly together. Now we can filter based on the quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence to identify high probability setup related stocks. So in the EMA confluence at quarterly time frame, why quarterly? Because weekly zone is part of the monthly zone, both together part of the quarterly zone. They are all inside the quarterly or overlapped with the quarterly zone. If quarterly zone is having quarterly EMA confluence, that setup is even more high probability trade setup. So I am setting the filter quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. Very good. Next, what about trend? The trend on quarterly time frame is either up or down. With these filters, now the list is come down to only 20 stocks. These are the high probability setup supported weekly zones. All these are all weekly zones. But these zones inside monthly zone, both together inside quarterly zone. That quarterly zone is having quarterly EMA confluence. That way our weekly zones are powerful zones. First 16 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered. All these are all weekly zones. Similarly, we will identify for the supply zones. These are the demand zones, weekly demand zones. Similarly, for weekly time frame, let us identify LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. Let us assume weekly is LTF. So I am setting the filter in the supply zone confluence. First filter is weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Next, weekly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence, and monthly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, we got 7 stocks. In these 7 stocks, these weekly supply zones are part of the monthly supply zone. Again, both together part of the quarterly supply zone. You may ask a question, can we further filter? Yes, based on the EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence, because weekly and monthly together part of the quarterly, let us check if quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA Confluence. And the trend on the quarterly time frame should be either up or down. With these filters, we got 1 stock. See how the list is narrowed down to 1 stock. So this could be a high probability setup weekly supply zone. Maybe that is the reason why it is already tested once. And current price closed inside the weekly supply zone. Okay. So this is about a weekly time frame, and the next time frame is a daily. Entry time frame daily, let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. We got 8 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity demand zones from this list. Metropolis is having a high liquidity daily demand zone. That's it. Only 1 high liquidity daily demand zone from this list. Next, for daily time frame, let us find the stocks near daily supply zone. We got 13 stocks. Out of these 13, how many high liquidity daily supply zones are available? Let us identify. No, we don't have any valid high liquidity, high priority supply zones from this list. High priority, high liquidity supply zones. We have only low priority, high liquidity TCO supply zone. You can't expect 80% success rate for these zones. Only 3 high priority, high liquidity zones. In those zones only you can expect 80% if they are near demand and supply zones on daily or 75 minutes time frame. Okay, for daily time frame we identified only 1 zone, that too in demand zone. That's it. Next we have to see 75 minutes, but before that some more stocks we should filter. Next, for daily time frame, let us find the stocks where price closed inside the daily demand zone. We got 28 stocks. So first 15 stocks on the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 28 stocks are filtered, price closed inside daily demand zone. Now we can further filter based on EMA confluence. So daily demand zones are having daily EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence filter at a daily time frame, I am setting daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. And the trend on the daily time frame should be either up or down. With these filters, we got only 4 stocks out of 28. These 4 daily demand zones are having daily EMA confluence and also current price closed inside the daily demand zone. Okay, this is about daily time frame. Price closed inside the daily demand zone. Next, daily time frame. Price closed inside the daily supply zone. We got 65 stocks. That includes NIFTY, NIFTY Bank. NIFTY is already PR yesterday. But price is there inside LTF zone, lower time frame zone. 15-minute zone is there. Inside the 15, where there is a fine-tuned 5-minute zone. That is a high liquidity zone. From there, the prices reached, and again NIFTY came down by another 100 plus or 150 plus points down. that we have experienced on Saturday's trading session, special budget trading session. Okay, first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 65 stocks. Price closed inside daily supply zone. We can further filter this list based on daily supply zone having daily EMA Confluence. So let's set the filter. I'm going back. So in the EMA Confluence, at a daily time frame, I'm setting the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA Confluence. And the trend on daily time frame should be either up or down. Let's filter. Now the list is come down to 23 stocks. First 15 stocks in the list. Oh, even Nifty, BANKNIFTY, both supply zones are having EMA Confluence. Okay, I'm scrolling the list down. So total 23 stocks. So this is about daily time frame. Next time frame is 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. We got 10 stocks. Next, 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. We got 23 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 23 stocks are filtered. Price near to the 125 minutes supply zone. Okay, next time frame is 75 minutes. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. We got 12 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity 75 minutes demand zones from this list. Conquer high liquidity zone. That's it. We have only one valid 75 minutes high liquidity demand zone from the list near to the stocks near to the 75 minutes demand zone. Next, for 75 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near 75 minutes supply zone. We got 6 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity supply zones from this list. No, we don't have any high liquidity supply zones from this list. I think today we identified only 2 high liquidity zones. One is from a daily time frame and a daily demand zone, and another one is 75 minutes demand zone. That's it. Okay, this is about stocks near demand and supply zones for daily and 75 minutes time frame, high liquidity demand and supply zones. Okay, next time frame is 25 minutes. Stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. We got 8 stocks. Next, for 25 minutes time frame, stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. We got 4 stocks. Next time frame is 15 minutes. Stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. We got 7 stocks. Let's further filter based on ITF Confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone Confluence. Enable the filter. We got 4 stocks. Out of these 4, first one is a PR zone and the third one is a PR zone. Okay, next for 15 minutes time frame, stocks near 15 minutes supply zone. We got 6 stocks. We can further filter based on supply zone confluence. That is 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. Now list is come down to 3 stocks. Out of 3, the third one is already pierced. Okay, next time frame is 5 minutes. Stocks near 5 minutes demand zone. We got 6 stocks. Let's identify ITF confluence. That is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. Now the list is come down to 2 stocks. So these 5 minutes demand zones are overlapped with 15 minutes demand zones. That is what zone confluence. Okay, next for 5 minutes time frame, stocks near 5 minutes supply zone. We got 8 stocks. Out of these 8, how many supply zones are having ITF supply zone confluence? Let us verify. That is 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. With this filter, we got 3 stocks. The third one is a pierced zone. Okay, these are the stocks near demand and supply zones for different time frames. Next report, let us generate NIFTY and BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Let's start with NIFTY. Generating a monthly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. This is NIFTY monthly supply demand zone chain. Always look into the zone column to find the high liquidity zones. Look into the pierced column to find the pierced zones. Look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. Same way you should understand remaining supply demand zone chain reports. Okay, next, weekly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. And 30 item, serial number 30, we have a demand zone nearest to the current closing price. I am scrolling the list so that I can keep the demand zone in the center. Okay, all these demand zones below the current demand zone, and all these supply zones 29 and above, the supply zones. The nearest demand and supply zones are at serial number 28, 30 and 29. This is 15 minutes time frame. Next time frame is 5 minutes, generating 5 minute supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. All are supply zones. I am scrolling the list down. So here you have the demand zone. 45 is the nearest demand zone to the current closing price. So this is about NIFTY supply demand zone chain. Next we will generate BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Nifty Bank is nothing but Bank Nifty. Generating monthly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. So what is the nearest demand zone for 15 minutes? Item number 18. Okay, next 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. The nearest closing price, we have the demand zone at item number 29, serial number. Let me put it in the center, so that you know equal number of demand and supply zones. Okay, so this is about Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. And the next set of reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly, weekly and daily income trades. Let's start with monthly income trade bullish trade setup. Entry time frame is daily. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at a daily time frame, I am selecting bullish. And I am also setting zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd and enhancer score 12, and both the filters are applied to daily demand zone. Let's filter. We got 9 stocks. Currently, these 9 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Okay, out of these 9, some are already having a high liquidity monthly daily demand zones, because entry time frame zones are daily time frames. That is what you can observe here. Out of these 9, we can further filter based on zone confluence. So 2 filters we will use. First filter LTF and ITF, second filter LTF, ITF, HTF. And also, of course, we will also use their ITF EMA confluence and HTF EMA confluence filters also. Okay, first let us filter based on LTF and ITF. Demand zone confluence. LTF is a daily, ITF is a weekly. So daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, out of 8, all 8 are filtered. That means all these 8 stocks, these daily demand zones are overlapped with weekly demand zone. That means they are part of the weekly demand zone. And the weekly trend is up in all these stocks, ITF trend. So that's why if weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence, then these daily demand zones are high probability setup supported zones. Let's verify. So in the EMA confluence, I'm enabling the filter. weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence, because the daily zone is overlapped with weekly zone. So we got 3 stocks. So these 3 are even more high probability setup supported zones. This is based on LTF, ITF, demand zone confluence, and ITF EMA confluence. You can always look into the search filter here. See the zone, demand zone confluence, daily and weekly, and EMA confluence. Weekly is having weekly EMA confluence, weekly demand zone. Okay, next filter is based on LTF, ITF, and HTF demand zone confluence. That is a daily, weekly, and monthly demand zone confluence. So let me remove this EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already set in the previous report. Second filter, daily demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Third filter, weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, and HTF demand zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone, both together again part of the monthly demand zone. That means all are part of the monthly zone, overlapped. So, and monthly trend is uptrend in all these stocks, HTF trend. So, if monthly demand zone is having monthly EMA, those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence. With this filter, all 3 stocks are filtered. That means all the 3 monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA confluence. And with that monthly zone, our daily zones are overlapped. They overlapped along with weekly zones. That's why these daily demand zones are high probability, even more high probability setup supported zones. That is what you learned in lesson 27. Okay. Next, let us look for LTF. This is bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, let us look for bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame daily. Entry zone, supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bearish. And zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum order enhancer score 12. Both the filters are applied to daily supply zone. Let's filter the stocks. We got only 2 stocks. Currently, these 2 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. And these entry time frame zones are daily supply zones. We can further filter the high probability setup zones based on LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a daily and weekly supply zone confluence. Daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence filter is enabled. Both the stocks are filtered. That means both these daily supply zones are part of the weekly supply zone, and weekly trend is down in both the stocks, ITF trade. And if the weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA, then these daily supply zones are even more high probability setup supported zones. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. Both are filtered. That means both these are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify even with HTF also. HTF, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled in the previous report. Second filter, daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. And third filter, weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 1 stock. So this daily supply zone is part of the weekly supply zone. Both together again part of the monthly supply zone. But monthly trend is sideways. Sideways EMA Confluence does not add any extra advantage. So we are not further filtering based on EMA. We are limiting to this report. So this is about bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Okay. So monthly income trade is completed. Next, let's go to the weekly income trades. First one is bullish trade setup in weekly income trade. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Entry zone, demand zone. And in bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame 75 minutes, I am selecting bullish. We should set 3 filters to 75 minutes demand zone. First filter is the 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the parameter pierced count, here we have pierced count parameter. In this entry time frame, that is 75 minutes, those 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. That's why we have to set minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means zone is not pierced. Why zone is not pierced? Pierced count 0 means zone is not pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer should be 12. And all the 3 filters. What 3 filters? Pierced count, zone achievement, minimum odd enhancer score. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. Let's filter. We got 4 stocks. And these 4 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade, and entry time frame zones are 75 minutes demand zones. All these 75 minutes demand zones. Did you notice Solaris Industries? This is the one added into F&O during this month. We have updated our database with this data. And it is filtered. Good, excellent. Currently it is supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frames are 75 minutes demand zones. All these are all. And some of these 75 minutes demand zone, I think one is already high liquidity zone. Apart from that, we can further filter based on the zone confluence. Let's verify. This 75 minute zone is part of the ITF zone, later part of the HTF zone or not. So first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. With this filter, out of 4 stocks, we got 3 stocks. And all the 3 75 minutes demand zones are overlapped with daily demand zone. That means they are part of the daily demand zone. And daily trend is up in all the 3 stocks. If any of the daily demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, then these 75 minutes demand zones are high probability trade setup supported stocks, even more high probability. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, daily time frame. Why daily? Because 75 minute zone, entry time frame zone is overlapped with the daily zone. That means it is part. That's why we are looking for daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence or not. All the 3 are having daily EMA confluence. They are high probabilities trade setup supported stocks. Okay, next high probability is even HTF confluence is there or not, we will verify. LTF, ITF, HTF. Demand zone confluence. So for that we should set 3 filters. First we should remove this EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled in the previous report. Second filter is 75 minutes demand zone overlap with weekly demand zone confluence. Daily demand zone overlap with weekly demand zone, that is zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF, demand zone confluence, that is 75 minutes, daily and weekly demand zone confluence, we got 2 stocks. So that means in these 2 stocks, these 75 minutes demand zones are part of the daily demand zone. Both together again part of the weekly demand zone. And weekly trend is up, only 1 stock. If weekly, for the first stock, if weekly EMA confluence is there, that is even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Let's verify. In the EMA Confluence at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly demand zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and trend should not be sideways at weekly, should be only up because it is bullish trade setup. So this is filtered, good. That means HR motor is even more high probability trade setup supported zone, and this zone is a part of a daily, both together part of weekly. That weekly zone is uptrend and weekly zone is having weekly EMA Confluence. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. And in bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame 75 minutes, I am selecting bearish. Now we are generating bearish report. And we need to set 3 filters to the 75 minute supply zone. First filter is 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count parameter at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. Why 75 minute supply zone? Because here we selected that 75 minute supply zone. Whatever you select, for that the filters will be applied. And the zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. And all the 3 filters are applied to 75 minute supply zone. Now let's filter the stocks. We got 16 stocks. First 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 16 stocks. All these 16 supply zones currently, all these 75 minutes supply zones currently supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade, because entry time frame 75 minutes. That's why I am showing 75 minute supply zones on the report. And some of these 75 minute supply zones are high liquidity zones. That means they already have some high probability related support already. So that's why they may have higher success rate. But we can further filter. That is not enough. We have to further filter based on the even zone confluence. Because if the zones are overlapped with higher time frame zones, they have even much stronger order flows. That's why the first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. Let us apply that filter on all the 16 stocks. So that is 15 minutes, entry time frame 75, right? So 75 minute supply zone confluence with daily supply zone. So I am enabling that filter, 75 minute supply zone confluence with daily supply zone. That means 75 minutes zone should overlap with the daily zone. That means it should be part of the daily zone. So how many such stocks are available out of 16? Out of 16 we got 13 stocks. That means in all these 13 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the or overlapped with the daily supply zone. And the daily trend is down in all these stocks because ITF trend here. Bearish trade setup, ITF is always downtrend. So that's why let's verify if daily supply zone is having daily EMA confluence, then these 75 minute supply zones are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. So in the EMA confluence, I am applying the filter on the 13 stocks, and at a daily time frame, I am selecting the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence or not. Already trend is a downtrend for all the stocks. So that's why filtered we got 7 stocks out of 13. And all these 7 stocks, the daily supply zones are having daily EMA confluence. But our 75 minutes entry supply zone is overlapped with the daily zone. That way it is a more high probability trade setup zones. Okay, this is about LTF, ITF supply zone confluence. Next, let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. That is 75 minutes, daily and weekly supply zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. This is ITF specific. Now we are looking for HTF specific. So in the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled in the previous report. Second filter, 75 minute supply zone confluence with weekly supply zone confluence. Third filter, daily supply zone confluence with weekly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 6 stocks. That means in all these 6 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are overlapped with the daily supply zone. Again, both together overlapped with weekly supply zone. That means daily and 75 minutes and daily together part of the weekly zone. And the weekly trend is down in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks except third one. All these 5 out of 6, all the 5 having downtrend. If they are having weekly EMA confluence, weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence, there could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. One stock sideways, we will eliminate that. So in the trend, weekly time frame, I am setting downtrend. Because it is bearish trade setup, trend should be down, but not up or sideways. See, we got 4 stocks out of 6. So these 4 are even more high probability trade setup supported 75 minute supply zones. Because they are part of the weekly supply zone. That weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA confluence. So this is about bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, we will generate a bullish and bearish trade setups for daily income trade. For daily income trade, bullish trade setup, entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is a demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame 15 minutes, I am selecting bullish. Now for this 15 minutes demand zone, we should set 3 filters. First filter is a 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count parameter at 15 minutes time frame, I am selecting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means 15 minutes demand zone is not pierced, should not be pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All the 3 filters, pierced zone, zone achievement, minimum odd enhancer score. All 3 filters are applied to 15 minutes demand zone. So with these filters, we got 14 stocks. Currently, these 14 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade. And all these entry time frame zones are 15 minutes demand zones. We have 15 minutes demand zones are available. Out of these demand zones, some are already high liquidity demand zones, 15 minutes demand zones. See, many of them are high liquidity demand zones. That means they are already having some high probability based on high liquidity zone. But that is not enough for us. We need more high probability. That's why let us identify, we can further filter based on the zone confluence. Zone confluence, you can filter 2 ways. One is LTF, ITF and another one is LTF, ITF and HTF. That is what you learned in lesson 27. Let us apply those strategies. So first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is 75 minutes and 15 minutes. Entry time frame 15 minutes. ITF is 75 minutes. So I am setting the filter 15 minutes demand zone confluence with 75 minutes demand zone. That means 15 minutes demand zone should overlap with 75 minutes demand zone. That is what I always say, simple English. 15 minutes demand zone should be part of the 75 minutes demand zone. So with this filter, we got 12 stocks. In all these 12 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zone, they are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes trend, that is ITF trend, is uptrend because it is bullish trade setup. Because 75 minutes trend is up, if 75 minutes demand zone having daily EMA confluence, those zones could be even more high probability setup supported zones. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at 75 minutes entry time frame, this is not entry time frame, ITF time frame. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. That zone is overlapped with 75. That means part of the 75. That's why we are looking for 75 minutes demand zone having daily EMA confluence or not. We are verifying. With this filter, we got 3 stocks. So these 3 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are even more high probability setup supported demand zones. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. So I am removing EMA filter. And in the demand zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. LTF, ITF, HTF. Already first one is LTF, ITF filter is already enabled. This we already set in the previous report, 15 minutes with 75 minutes zone confluence. So second filter we are going to set 15 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Daily is HTF. Similarly, one more 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence, ITF and HTF. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF, demand zone confluence, we got 5 stocks. That means in all these 5 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. Again, both together part of the weekly demand zone. All these 15 minute zones are part of the weekly. How? They are not part of the weekly directly. First, they are overlapped with 75 minutes. Both together is overlapped with daily. And the daily trend is up in only one stock. Remaining all are sideways. So that's why if the third stock is having daily EMA confluence, that is even more high probability trade setup supported zone. Let's verify. See, this is already tested 4 times. So in the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, I am setting the filter daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence or not. And trend on daily should be only uptrend because it is bullish trade setup. And this is filtered hood curve. This is the more high probability. That is the reason why see already tested 4 times. This 15 minutes zone is overlapped with 75. Again, both together overlapped with daily. And the daily zone is having daily EMA confluence. And moreover, this 15 minutes demand zone is a high liquidity demand zone. See, all factors are in our favor. That's why this zone is supported. Several tests. Finding such kind of stocks will always help us getting better profits. This time is it going to work? We don't know. It's all depending on, because high liquidity zone, again inside 5 minutes order flows are there, it may work. But already it gave good tests. It may give also, or it might be violated. Anything will happen in future. But previously our software definitely identified this stock. At the time, whoever has taken, they would have got good profits. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup parameter at entry time frame 15 minutes. This time I am selecting bearish. Now we have to set 3 filters to this 15 minute supply zone. First filter is 15-minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count parameter at entry time frame 15 minutes, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0, indicating 15-minute supply zone should not be pierced. And 15-minute supply zone should have zone achievement violated opposing zone. And 15-minute supply zone should have a minimum odd enhancer score 12. That's why all the three filters are applied to 15-minute supply zone. With these filters, we got 9 stocks. Currently, these 9 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. And all these entry time frame zones are 15-minute supply zones. All these supply zones. These are the entry time frame zones. In those zones, we should plan our trades. Out of these 9 15-minute supply zones, some of the 15-minute supply zones are already having some high probability to get the success because they are high liquidity zones. Some are high priority, high liquidity, some are low priority, high liquidity zones. But that is not good enough to get the success. We need to have even more probability to get the success. So that's why we are adding to add the high probability. To check the high probability, we are further filtered based on this zone confluence. That means these 15-minute zone should be part of the 75-minute zone. Later again they should part of the daily zone. So that's why first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. We will filter out of these 9. I am setting the filter in the supply zone confluence. 15-minute supply zone having 75-minute supply zone confluence. With this filter, out of 9, we got 8 stocks. That means in all these 8 stocks, these 15-minute supply zones are overlapped with 75-minute supply zones. That is what we set. Supply zone confluence filter. Okay, but is it enough? No, we can further look for even more high probability. Because the 75 minutes supply zone, ITF supply zone trend is a downtrend. Because the trend is a downtrend and 15-minute supply zone is overlapped with 75-minute supply zone, and if the 75-minute supply zone is having daily EMA confluence, then these stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, at 75 minutes time frame, because 15 minutes supply zone entry time frame is overlapped with 75 minutes supply zone. That's why we are looking for if that 75 minute supply zone is having daily EMA confluence or not. With this filter, out of 8 stocks, we got 4 stocks. That means in all these 4 stocks, we have 75-minute supply zones are having daily EMA confluence. They are even more high probability trade setup supported zones. Okay, this is LTF, ITF specific filters. Next, we will look for LTF, ITF and HTF specific supported stocks. Removing ITF filter. Now we should look for HTF. So in the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled in the previous report, and remaining 2 HTF specific filters. First one is 15-minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. Next, 75-minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 4 stocks. In all these 4 stocks, these 15-minute supply zones are part of the 75-minute supply zone, both together again part of the daily supply zone. Now everything is part of daily supply zone. Daily is HTF. And daily trend is down in all the 3 stocks except the second. Out of 4 except the second, remaining all 3 are having downtrend. If those 3 are stocks, any of those 3 stocks are having daily EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify in the daily time frame. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame. Why daily time frame? because the entry time frame 15-minute zone is part of the 75 minutes. Both together again overlapped with the daily zone. That means they are part of the daily zone. That's why we are looking for daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence available or not. One stock is having sideways, we don't want that stock even if it is having EMA confluence. So that's why I'm setting the filter. The trend should be downtrend because it is bearish trade setup. We got two stocks. So these two are even more high probability trade setup supply zones because they have high probability setup parameters. See, they are not high liquidity zones. Still, they are high probability setup stocks. See, this stock already tested 2 times. So this is about a bearish trade setup for a daily income trade. So now we completed the income trades, and the last report is about stop buffers based on daily ATR. So I have generated stop buffers. First 17 in this list are indices, remaining all are equity stocks. Okay, I'm scrolling the list down. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there you pause the video. After that you can proceed. Okay, let me scroll the list down. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you for your further study and analysis. Let's all meet again in our next video. Thank you.